The strongest men aren't the loudest. They're the ones who understand the quiet psychology behind attraction, trust, and power. Every woman operates on emotional codes most men ignore, but once you decode them, you stop chasing and start choosing. In this video, I'll show you the 7 secrets women never want men to know. How they think, what they fear, and why they test your control. Stay here if you're done guessing and ready to become the kind of man no woman can manipulate. Before we get into it, understand this. This video isn't about exposing women. It's about revealing the emotional architecture that shapes every connection you've ever had. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. You'll start recognizing the hidden systems behind every smile, every pause, every change in tone. This isn't theory. It's fieldwork, built on patterns women use every day to navigate love, safety, and control. The goal isn't to distrust them, but to understand them so deeply that you stop reacting and start responding. Because power in relationships doesn't come from force. It comes from awareness. So let's begin with the first truth. The one most men overlook because they think privacy means loyalty. It doesn't. Here's what really happens behind the scenes when she tells her friends about you. Number 1. Women talk more than you think. You might believe the things that happen between you and her are private. You might even think that what you say in confidence, or what you do behind closed doors, stays sealed between two people. But that's not how female communication works. When a woman trusts her circle, she doesn't just share feelings, she transfers experiences. Women connect through emotional exchange. It's how they process the world. When something makes her laugh, hurt, or feel powerful, she won't keep it to herself. It becomes a story. And in that story, you play a part, willingly or not. For men, silence is bonding. You respect privacy as a form of loyalty. But for women, bonding means narration. Sharing details is how she validates her emotions and earns empathy from her friends. It's not betrayal. It's social survival. The moment she tells her girlfriends about what happened, the argument, the date, the affection, the tension, she's not just gossiping. She's building her version of truth. Every word she shares shapes how she sees you, how she justifies staying, or how she explains leaving. That's why your privacy doesn't exist the same way hers does. What happens between you and her rarely stays between you and her. It's filtered, reinterpreted, and often discussed until it feels emotionally complete. Understanding this changes the game. When you realize her stories are part of how she processes intimacy, you stop reacting like a betrayed man and start thinking like a composed one. The goal isn't to silence her, it's to manage what version of yourself she gets to talk about. Don't overshare, don't perform. Let your actions speak in silence. When she describes you to her friends, the picture she paints depends on the behavior you repeat, not the words you defend. If you want your story told with respect, give her nothing chaotic to retell. The more predictable your emotions, the more stable her narrative becomes. Because in her world, storytelling is bonding, and in yours, self-control is the only privacy left. Number 2, she lies about her past, not to deceive, but to protect her image. Every man believes he wants honesty, until he hears the truth. Then suddenly, he prefers a version that feels easier to digest. Women understand that dynamic better than anyone. That's why she won't tell you everything. Not because she's malicious, but because she's protecting how you see her. A woman's sense of worth is deeply tied to perception. From a young age, she's been trained to manage appearances, to be desirable but not too open, emotional but not unstable, experienced but not tainted. That duality forces her to curate her story. When she talks about her past, she edits. Not to hide reality, but to create safety. If she once loved a man who broke her, she might downplay it to avoid your judgment. If she's had experiences you'd label as too much, she'll soften them to avoid being seen as less than. It's not deception. It's emotional self-preservation. Behind every omission is a fear, the fear of being reduced to her mistakes. Men often underestimate how punishing social judgment can be for women. A man's past is called experience. A woman's past is called baggage. That's the imbalance she's navigating. So, she protects her image, not out of vanity, but survival. She hides the chapters she fears you'll use against her. And the more you demand transparency without emotional maturity, the less she'll ever tell you. But here's what most men don't realize. When a woman hides her past, it doesn't mean she's hiding danger. It means she's testing your capacity to handle truth. If you respond with calm and curiosity instead of judgment, she begins to trust you. That's when the real story surfaces. You don't uncover honesty by interrogating. You earn it by safety. So instead of asking, "What did you do before me?" ask, "Who did you become because of it?" That's where the truth lives. Her silence isn't mystery, it's defense. And when you learn to listen between the lines, you'll understand more about her than she ever dares to say aloud. Number 3, she wants you to chase her even when she likes you. It's one of the oldest paradoxes in attraction. The woman who wants you won't always show it. She'll flirt, withdraw, reappear, and test your reactions, not to confuse you, but to study you. The chase isn't about distance, it's about discovery. When a woman likes you, she enters a state of emotional alertness. Her instincts scan for consistency, patience, and dominance. Not aggression, but emotional steadiness. She wants to see if your interest has structure, or if it collapses under pressure. That's why she hesitates to be direct. The hesitation is the test. The chase is her way of asking, are you leading or are you reacting? If you rush toward her, she pulls back. If you pull away completely, she assumes disinterest. The balance lies in controlled pursuit, curiosity without attachment, confidence without desperation. For women, the chase is an emotional theater. Every delayed reply, every brief silence, every look that lingers longer than it should, it's all a study in power. She enjoys that rhythm because it reminds her she's desired yet not owned. And here's what most men get wrong. They believe the chase ends once she says yes. It doesn't. The emotional game resets. What she really wants is to feel that your attention remains intentional, not automatic. When the chase dies, so does her excitement. The truth is simple. Women fall for men who make them feel chosen, not captured. The difference is in energy. A man who chooses calmly radiates security. A man who chases desperately radiates fear. She senses that instantly. So how do you respond? You don't run faster. You slow down. You let her see you're capable of desire without losing direction. That calm confidence disarms her because she realizes you're not trying to win her approval. You're assessing compatibility. She doesn't want the chase to end. She wants to be reminded she's worth chasing. Master that rhythm, and you'll never have to play games again. Because once you understand her patterns, you'll realize the real chase isn't about catching her. It's about proving you won't lose yourself while trying. Number 4, she dates to elevate, emotionally, socially, or financially. A woman rarely chooses a man who makes her feel smaller. Even when she loves deeply, her instinct still seeks elevation, in energy, in stability, in growth. That's not manipulation. That's evolution. For centuries, women's survival depended on choosing wisely. Safety, protection, and social mobility were the invisible currencies of attraction. Those instincts didn't disappear with modern freedom. They evolved into something more subtle: emotional selection. She's not just asking, do I love him? She's asking, do I rise when I'm with him? This is why she loses interest in stagnation. When you stop building, she stops believing. It's not about money alone. though security is part of it. It's about momentum. Women are drawn to direction. A man who knows where he's going gives her something powerful. Emotional gravity. Men often confuse this with greed, but in truth, she's measuring alignment, not wealth, but potential. If you've stopped growing, if your ambition died quietly, she senses it. And that's when her emotional investment begins to fade. She doesn't leave immediately. She detaches in layers, first emotionally, then sexually, then socially. Her body might still be present, but her loyalty has moved ahead, toward a future that feels safer and more certain. So when a woman dates up, it's not always about status, it's about energy. She's attracted to what reflects who she wants to become. Your vision, your discipline, your calm under pressure, that's the security she values most. The danger for men is complacency. Thinking love will hold her when growth stops is a costly illusion. Attraction fades when leadership weakens. The truth: a woman doesn't want to carry you. She wants to feel carried by your purpose. That's not control, it's chemistry, the ancient exchange between masculine direction and feminine trust. If a woman outgrows you emotionally or socially, she disconnects quietly, not out of cruelty, but necessity. You can't hold a woman who's still rising if you've chosen to stand still. She doesn't want your love if your life is stuck. Keep evolving, not to impress her, but because the man who keeps growing never fears being replaced. Number 5, her biggest fear isn't losing love, it's being used. Every woman who's been hurt carries an invisible scar. It's not always heartbreak that shapes her, but humiliation. The memory of giving too much and getting too little in return. What she fears most isn't the end of love. It's the feeling of being disposable. When she opens up to you, it's rarely instant. It's layered. She tests your patience, your intention, your consistency. Not because she enjoys the game, but because she's watching for safety. She needs to know, can I trust this man with my softness? Behind her hesitation is history. The moment she let her guard down once, she was met with distance. The moment she believed in forever, someone treated her as temporary. So now she hides her tenderness behind sarcasm, independence, or silence. It's not manipulation. It's armor. You might think she's difficult, that she's demanding too much reassurance. But what she's really saying is simple. Show me I'm not just another story you'll forget. Men often misinterpret emotional defense as drama. But the truth is, her guarded behavior is a survival instinct, her way of controlling pain before it controls her again. If you want to understand her, stop taking her caution personally. When she questions you, it's not an attack, it's a measure of self-protection. She's not trying to trap you, she's trying not to lose herself again. Her tests aren't about ego, they're about fear. And that fear runs deeper than rejection. It's the fear of being used and discarded like she never mattered. You can break through it only with consistency. Not promises, not poetry. Consistency. Emotional reliability is the new luxury most women can't find. If she gave you her body, her trust, or her vulnerability, and you vanished, you didn't just disappear. You confirmed her deepest fear, that she was never more than a moment. That's why she hesitates now. That's why she's cautious. And if you ever earn her softness again, treat it as a privilege, not proof of conquest. Because once she feels safe, she gives everything. But the day she feels used, she'll never return. Number 6, she scans men instinctively. Before she even hears you speak, she's already read you. The way you walk into a room, how you stand, where your eyes settle, it all tells a story. You might think attraction begins with words, but for women, it often starts with observation. This isn't vanity, it's biology. Long before modern dating apps or social rules, Women relied on instinct to assess safety and strength. Their brains evolved to scan faces, posture, and micro-expressions to decide, can I trust him? Can I follow him? Can he protect me, emotionally or physically? That reflex still runs deep. When she looks at you, she's not just admiring your looks, she's reading data, your energy, confidence, composure. She studies how you move through space. Do you look rushed or grounded, defensive or calm, present or distracted? Even your smallest gestures speak. How you hold eye contact, how you breathe, how you react when interrupted, these details shape her subconscious decision before you even open your mouth. Yes, she notices your clothes, but what really draws her is the feeling you project. Confidence without arrogance, focus without tension. Masculinity that isn't loud, but steady. The funny part? Most men try to impress through what they say, while women decide how they feel around you long before the conversation begins. You can't fake energy. Your body tells on you. So instead of obsessing over words, refine your presence, slow your movements, maintain awareness of your surroundings. Stand like a man who belongs wherever he is, not like someone waiting for permission. This isn't about dominance. It's about stability. Women read posture the way men read tone. The straighter you stand, the clearer your value appears. And remember, her scan isn't always sexual. Sometimes she's simply categorizing you. Threat, toy, or potential. She may smile, look away, or stay neutral, but that quick assessment is her instinct doing its job. You can't stop her from scanning, but you can decide what she sees. Because in the silent seconds before words are spoken, she's already made a decision. Not about what you have, but about what kind of man you are. 7. Yes, women cheat, but it's about power, not pleasure. When a man cheats, it's often impulsive. When a woman does, it's calculated. And by the time she crosses that line, something inside her has already shifted. Her body might arrive second, her mind left long before. For men, infidelity is usually about novelty. For women, it's about imbalance. She doesn't betray for excitement. She betrays to reclaim control. Cheating, for her, isn't rebellion. It's a response. It begins quietly. A woman feels unseen, unheard, or emotionally dismissed. She starts shrinking inside her own relationship, trying to resurrect connection. But when every attempt meets neglect or arrogance, something breaks. She no longer seeks validation. She seeks leverage. That's when another man's attention becomes oxygen. Not because he's better, but because he listens. In that moment, he becomes a mirror reflecting the value she forgot she had. It's not love. It's escape from invisibility. By the time she acts on it, the decision isn't about him. It's about herself. It's her way of saying, I can still affect the world around me. I can still matter. That's what makes it dangerous. When women cheat, it's rarely physical. It's psychological. They do it cleanly, quietly, with precision, because they're not chasing passion. They're reclaiming significance. Men often ask, how could she do that? The answer is simple. She stopped being afraid to lose you. When you became predictable, dismissive, or careless, she realized the emotional power in indifference. That's when she turned it on you. Here's the hardest truth. When she stops arguing, she's not peaceful. She's gone. When she stops asking where you are, she already knows. When she stops crying and starts smiling again, she's rewriting her story. And you're no longer in it. A woman's revenge is calm. And that's what makes it devastating. You can't control her choices, but you can control the space that breeds them. Don't lead with fear, lead with presence. Connection isn't maintained by possession, it's maintained by attention. Because once a woman feels emotionally invisible, she'll find a way to be seen, even if it means walking through fire to feel alive again. You've just heard 7 secrets women don't want men to know. But this wasn't about exposing women. It was about exposing your blind spots, the patterns that keep you reacting instead of understanding. Every man wants to lead, yet few understand what they're leading. You can't win a game if you don't know its rules. And the truth is, women have been playing on a psychological field you've barely learned to see. They don't hide these truths because they hate men. They hide them because emotional power is their armor. And the moment a man reacts with anger, defensiveness, or ego, he proves why she needed that armor in the first place. So here's what you take away. When she talks too much, don't panic. Control what you give her to talk about. When she hides her past, listen for her pain instead of judging her story. When she makes you chase, don't sprint. Move with calm intention. When she dates to elevate, don't beg. Rise. When she guards herself, be consistent. When she scans you, embody steadiness. And when she pulls away, don't fight for power. Build presence. Understanding women isn't about control. It's about awareness. Because once you see the emotional mechanics behind attraction, manipulation, and connection, you stop being a pawn in her game and start mastering your own. This is the truth no one tells men. Women don't make you weak. Your reactions do. Every time you lose composure, you hand over power. Every time you stay centered, you take it back. Now ask yourself, after hearing all this, what will you do differently? Will you keep trying to decode women, or will you start decoding yourself? If this message hit you deeper than you expected, subscribe. Not to flatter me, but to stop living in confusion. Every week, I'll teach you how to understand women, not to control them, but to control yourself. Because understanding women isn't power. Controlling your response to them is.